My name is David and I'm from Relish 3D. We are based out in Singapore and we specialize in creating custom accessories for the Solo. So what I'm going to do now is basically to walk us through the process in which you can actually use to upgrade your HDMI. And what we have here is the Solo HDMI ribbon cable that we have manufactured. And if I have to open up the casing, it is a 10 cm long ribbon cable which is fully shielded on both sides to prevent interference with your circuit board. And we have also custom designed a straight connector. The earlier versions were actually right angled, but this time we have actually done the straight connector to reduce potential vibration. And on top of it, we have also created a casing. This casing allows you to lock in the ribbon so that you don't accidentally pull it or even damage the connectors, which are actually quite fragile. So with this, I'm just going to set this aside. So it's actually, this is the cable that we'll be using. To remove the cap, the GPS cap, take a flat screwdriver, insert in at both ends, and it would readily come out. And the final opening is just, again, insert it in and out it pops. You will then find 7 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Remove each one of them. So I'm just going to remove the last 2, as I've already removed the other 7. Okay, so once you've done so, all you need to do is to lift it up gently, pull it out. Alright, your screws, store it somewhere safe. And then at the bottom there is the initial cable. This is the GPS cable. Now I've actually modified my GPS cable to make it a little bit longer, and what I did was I just actually joined in another additional 5-6 wires, alright, to lengthen the GPS cable. And that's it. And if you want, my preference is also to remove the GPS cable entirely. Alright, I'm just going to leave it here. The next thing you will do is to turn this upside down, because we're going to be removing the gimbal. And this should be pretty straightforward. So there are 3 screws that you need to remove, and once you've done so, gently lift the back plate and then squeeze out the front. And it will reveal 2 cables. If you have actually installed the gimbal, you know what I'm talking about. First is the data cable. Second is the HDMI cable. Alright, so this is actually the original HDMI cable. I'm just going to set this aside and then turn this back around. Next step, you will find 3 screws. One, this is the silver screw, and there are 2 black screws here. Just remove it. What I'm trying to do is to get to the underside of this board so that I can fully remove the HDMI cable. Okay, here's the tricky part. A lot of people have problems trying to remove this board. And what I do specifically is the following. I would unplug this data cable that goes into your the motor on the left. Alright, so just gently pull it out, and once you have done so, I would like you to lift underside here. You put your finger down. Let me just do it this way. You will see there's actually two cables, one red and one black, which is the positive and the negative, which powers your motor. And push this to the center so that it does not obstruct this side here. So what we want to do is to gently pry this, push it forward and pry this open. We do not need to lift the entire board, right? Just push it to the front and pry it open. And once I've actually removed this and pushed this to the side, it is a lot easier. Now the other thing to note is that in this battery connector, there is a very thin wire. If you can see here, it is colored green and white. You have to be extremely careful. A number of people have actually tried removing it and being clumsy. They would actually dislocate these two, and which will require you to rejoin them using soldering iron. So what I'm going to do is this: put one finger gently and lift it out. So center it. Okay, again, make sure that there's no cable obstructing this side. And I'm just going to push it down, push it in, gently push it in, and lift this thing up. Okay, and that's it. That's how you get access to the HDMI. So all you need to do is just to remove the original HDMI cable. Okay, take out your new ribbon cable, and it doesn't matter which side it actually goes into, because both are the same. Both are actually micro male type D HDMI connectors. So all you need to do is just to take one. Now it only goes in one angle, so I'm just going to try this out. Push it in, and that's it. Okay, that's all you need to do. And once it's in, place this down and gently make sure, again, be careful of this green and white cable. Gently maneuver it in. Now you could actually use your thumb to hold the red and black cable, because they are pretty sturdy. And then what you need to do is to gently massage it back into the hole. Turn it around. What I need you to do next is that at the underside, this cable, which is actually coming out, push it to the middle. Alright? It could actually come out this way, or my preference is to move it to the center. Okay? Once you've done, turn it around and continue to just slot it in. Now once the board is in, you will notice that there is a little insert which fits into this hole. So let me just take, alright, this insert here, it fits directly into the hole, and once it's in, you are assured that the connection is well placed. Then the next step is to gently move the cables back into alignment. So the first two, which is the black and the red that is on the far side, connected to this motor, push it in so that it's actually flush, it sits flush down. And the second cable, then gently move it back into place. Now important, make sure the cables do not cross, because once it crosses, because of the tight space that this cover has, it will not go in, it will not fit. Alright, so the way to do it is basically to let it sit flush. And finally, the last cable that we had, just carefully insert it back into its place, and that's it. That's all you need to do. So what then you need to do is to take your screws and screw back everything into place. Now just wanted to highlight as well. For all 3 screws, you will find that there is actually another adjoining hole. Initially, I made a mistake of actually screwing it into the one that is actually nearest to the center. All the screws that are actually used to tighten down this motherboard are located at the furthest end. Alright? And the final screw goes in here. Okay, that's it. Before I assemble everything back, I would like to just highlight a couple of modifications that I did to the Solo, and this is to further reduce vibration. So vibration, the source of vibration comes through at least 3 to 4 sources. The first source was actually this data gimbal, this data line cable that connects to the gimbal. The original one has a nylon mesh around it, and it was very stiff. So what I did was I actually removed the nylon mesh, and once you've done that, you could actually use it against your gimbal. But what I did next was basically to cut and then insert softer cables in between. So they're all together 8 cables, and I solder it, and this is the result. And then I zip tied it to the power cable. Okay. So the next part is to then attach the GPS connector back. Okay, so everything is flush. That way it will not interfere when you try to assemble it back again. Next. So the way I would do this is that to help reduce potential vibration, you see that if we actually put a kink to it, which is basically to loop it and insert it in, and this is probably the best way to do it. Alright, so let me just turn this around. So there's a little twist to the cable, and kind of like a 180-degree twist. That's fine. So what it basically does is it actually helps to reduce other potential vibration through that twist. And what else? Let me see. Okay, before I assemble it back in, maybe I could actually just talk a little bit about how I further reduce vibration. So I've actually tried different materials, from Kyoshi Zeal to Sorbitane, and this is Moon Gel. And I find that Moon Gel offers the best vibration dampening attributes. And what I did was, a Moon Gel is typically just a small piece, alright? And I folded it, I think 3-4 times, and then I would sandwich it in between the plate. This is the bottom plate, and the gimbal circuit board. So I have one piece here, another piece just underneath where the HDMI cable is connected, third piece, and 4 pieces. So altogether 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. Right. In addition to that, the original rubber, if you find that you still have a little bit of vibration, what you could do is you could try using earplugs. For those of you who actually got my earlier earplugs, you can then do the following. I'm just going to use a spare rubber ball that I have, and all you need to do, squeeze the earplug and then insert it in such a manner that it comes out on the other side. And what you want to do is you want to have it protrude a little bit out on both ends and leave it. It will then self-expand and it adds the additional infill into these rubber dampening balls. Alright, this is another example as to how I did it. This is the DJI Phantom dampening balls that I have. On the original Solo dampening balls, you'll see that it's just a little bit out, okay? And that's all you need to do. So now coming back to installation. What you need to do, firstly, install the HDMI ribbon cable. Alright, and then take the data cable, plug it in. Now you notice that it's actually protruding out a little bit. This is okay because there is actually additional cavity space just underneath, so it will not touch. So just work it this way, work it down, back first, then front. That's it. Now before you screw all 3 screws in place, what I want you to do is to ensure that the gimbal is free to move. As long as it's able to move, you know, probably 3 millimeters in all directions, it means that it is not touching the back plate. There's nothing in there to prevent it from moving freely. And that should be the way. If you do find resistance, and if the resistance is coming from internally, not from the side here, not from the outside gimbal, then you may want to just open it up again and examine what went wrong and correct whatever positions required. So what I'm going to do now is just going to seal it back in, screw all 3 screws. When you tighten your screws, I know some of you would actually, or I've seen people using full strength in tightening the nuts. And what they do is they use the entire hand, alright, and tighten it accordingly. Now the way that I would do to ensure that I do not over tighten is to just use 2 fingers, alright? If 2 fingers and you have some resistance there, stop. That's all you need to do. There's no use over tightening it because it will damage your screws and potentially the inside joints as well. I'm not sure what you call it, but yeah, I think you guys know what I'm talking about. So once that's done, great. Last point. Just in case you have also purchased what I call the GoPro Clip, right? You would want to take this time to install it as well. And the purpose of this GoPro Clip that I created was specifically because each time I fly, and once I've actually flown, to take out the HDMI card, I had to remove this cable, and you notice I am unable to have access to the micro SD card. So what I need to do each time is to unplug it. Right, then I can actually access the micro SD card. Sorry, not HDMI as micro SD. Yeah, I also have placed 1 layer of moon gel at the side here, on the inside, to reduce whatever possible vibration that may be transmitted to the camera. Okay. So to change and replace this clip, all you need to do is just to remove the screw that is placed at the back of the green clip. the GoPro Clip. Okay. Take it out. Get the one that I designed. Plug it back in. And just screw it in. Again, 2 fingers, not overly tight, and that's it. And what you have is essentially, the clip that will hold this GoPro in place until the point that you want to remove it out completely. But more importantly, the moment I actually open up the HDMI cable or connector, I will have direct access to the SD card. Okay, back to assembling the Solo. So what you need to do then is to take this connector, connect it back in, make sure that there's nothing touching this metal motor. And then just insert it back, screw back all 7 screws, place back the cover, and that's it, you're ready to go. And the last bit is basically just to test your GoPro, switch it on, test it to see that whether there's actually any connection to your tablet or your mobile phone that has the Solo app. That's it. Thank you very much. Enjoy.